What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude, and today I am very excited to have Sam Sheehan and young Parm onto the podcast to discuss who will win MVP. This is the Patreon preview. So if you want the full episode, the full 1 hour and 40 minutes, please go to the You Know Ball Patreon page. The link is in the description. Please sign up for the page, and you can get the entire hour and 40-minute long episode. You'll also get early episodes. You'll get access to the Discord, and there's a bunch of other perks that come with different tiers. So please subscribe to that if you are able to. If you want my thoughts on Charles Bassey and Isaiah Joe getting waived, I just launched a second YouTube channel called Trill Bro Dude YKB. The link will be in the description for this as well. So please check that out. If you can, subscribe to that. Turn on your notifications for this channel. Like this video, all of that stuff. If you're listening on audio, please give us a 5-star review if you are able to. I can't believe the NBA season is literally next week. It's like 5 days away, and I am extremely excited, and I can't wait to just do this full time and have a full season of this. So if you have not already, please subscribe, notifications, like the video, all of that stuff, and please let us know who you think will win MVP in the comments on YouTube. So enjoy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude, and today we are back with the squad, the regulars on You Know Ball. We have Parm rocking the Yankees cap. What's going on, Parm?
Howdy.
How you doing? How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I heard 26 last week.
Look, Parm,
Big deal.
Parm might be coming on this podcast and doing a lot of victory laps. All I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yankees, the Dolphins before.
Oh, well, you're not going to see me for the Yankees
smashed.
one.
Yeah.
You're not going to see me. If the Yankees win the World Series, I'm blacking out over the span of 2 weeks.
Well, hold on. Going on this,
be able to find me is to see me peeing on a street corner in Manhattan.
Look, there's no reason you can't be on this podcast blacked out for 3 hours.
Yeah,
Trill's done it multiple times.
I've done it many times. Many times. Always go back the next day and be like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. It's great. It's really good to do that on your own podcast that you're trying to take seriously and make into a career. Yeah, it's a really good idea. And then we also have, as you've heard, we have Sam Sheehan. But I do just want to say, Parm, last thing. Not only can you do victory laps for the Yankees, the Dolphins before Tua got his brains bashed in, sadly.
And post.
And
also post. No, and post. They're coming back in.
You can also do a little victory lap on me for Jaden Springer, who is the worst player I've ever seen play basketball in my entire life. So
you know what? I don't want to take the dunk because the guy that I compared him to is one of my favorite players of my lifetime. And now he has to play in the basketball Bundesliga, with Shane Larkin.
R.I.P. to our boy Bonga. We're bongs out for Bonga.
That's sad.
But today, the concept of this episode is
real quick. Can I just do my thing? I want to just point out Bill Simmons and Joe House bet 10-1 on the Raptors to win the Atlantic Division. Just needed to put that out there. Okay, you guys, you can keep going. You can keep going.
Really?
Yeah, they both bet on that, and that is the most staggering. That is like one of the most Bill brained thing I've ever heard.
So that's
anyway.
For anyone who forgets, that's the division with the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Brooklyn Nets, with the Boston Celtics, with the Raptors are the fourth team really there, maybe third if you're not high on Brooklyn. Also suggested that Bill
maybe better than the Knicks. Maybe, and that's
they'll be better than the Knicks. They'll be better than the Knicks. I think I can confidently say the Raptors will be better than the Knicks.
See, I hate both. I'm low on both of them, so I'm not sure where to go with that. But maybe. Anyway, I sidelined the report before we actually got the pod. I had to zag us one more time before we actually got to the content.
Thank you. So the other thing they said was hot take Bill said on Zach's pod, I believe, was, are we sure the Raptors can't win the 1 seed? Which is even more psychotic. But at the same time, if they win the Atlantic Division, they would probably win the 1 seed.
They would probably win the 1 seed, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just psychotic behavior. Like, come on. Like the Twitter poisoning of everyone's brain when it comes to the Raptors is just It drives me absolutely nuts. I don't understand how a middling team has convinced everyone that they're elite. But
come on over. We're out on the Raptors. We're out on the Grizzlies. Like, we can wage war against the rest of the. We can wage war against all of the sickos, the NBA Twitter sickos.
Well, look, we talked about the Grizzlies front office a little bit earlier, and Sam, you had a perfect analogy for what the Grizzlies front office is like.
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies front office is literally it's like a sim for which, like, people who are like NBA Twitter pilled can project themselves. It's like a first person shooter, but you're in the you're in, instead of the little Doom guy in the bottom of the screen, you're like one of the little Grizzlies GMs. You're John Hollinger or whoever replaced it.
Zach Kleinman, I think his name.
Yeah, you're Zach Kleinman. Well, it's just because they do all this. Like, this is what everyone wants to think about themselves if they ran an NBA team, right? Like, they would be smart. They'd draft all the good players. And they'd be the darlings, and they'd be a small market, but they'd be plucky. They'd be doing Moneyball shit. And I don't know. I think there's about to be a rude awakening.
The best way Sam put it was they want to be like, everyone that is on NBA Twitter, everyone that is like a sicko that listens to this podcast, including us, wants to be the guy that drafts Desmond Bane because they liked his YouTube highlights. And that's exactly what I wanted. Well, Maxey and Bane were my guy because I love their YouTube highlights, and that's exactly what
against them though. Who wants to not see Yves Pons succeed in the NBA, being wider than he is tall as a power forward?
Well, I mean, but those are like their meme guys.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like David Roddy. David Roddy probably won't play for them this year. Like, I would love to see David Roddy succeed, but I don't think.
No, if I had to pick, like, he's probably not going to play a lot for them this year.
Yeah.
They have a few guys that are like that I'm sure will come up throughout this conversation as we talk about NBA.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and maybe some of them play in their playing game against the Kings that they lose. So, everyone will get a chance to see some of these, Grizzlies players. A full summer.
We are going to be eating shit if the Raptors and the Grizzlies are really good this year. I love it.
I've Knicks too. I've like really digging in on a couple of them.
I've dug in so far on the Mavs. Yeah. I've kind of been taking a little bit of like a backtrack on the Mavs because I'm like, they do have Luka. Like, look, I still think they're going to be like a play-in team. Is Sam frozen or is he doing a fake freeze? I couldn't tell that.
Am I frozen? Okay.
No, you're good. Yeah. You were kind of frozen for a little bit, but I already have kind of had some insurance with, like, maybe Luka's just like the best player in the NBA this year, and it doesn't matter that their second best player's like fucking Christian Wood or whoever.
God, their vibes are so bad though. They have such
vibes. They're very fragile vibes too.
Yeah.
And Cuban's more interested in getting murdered by the Sackler family than he is in managing basketball.
The only good thing, I mean, it would be kind of. It would say the only good thing Mark Cuban's ever done, and he got killed for it, would like very much be like
100%
on with a lot of things.
Yeah, my dad was saying the other day how
he hired Haralabob too. He brought Haralabob.
Oh yeah, true. Haralabob won, making pharmaceuticals affordable for working American families too. My dad was saying. My dad was saying the other day, he's like, "Oh, I hate Mark Cuban. He's like not a good guy." I was like, well, first off, all billionaires are bad people. Second off, at least he did one thing. And we already know all the bad things he did.
He's the best shark. You got to hand it to him.
Yeah, he's
the best of the worst.
What are you going to be, a Robert guy? You're a big Robert fan? You're like Mr. Wonderful or Barbara?
Mr. Wonderful is like business Hitler, basically. Yeah, no, he's like the worst man alive.
He's evil.
Yeah, he's truly terrible.
Right.
But
should we try to start the pod for a third time, maybe?
yes. Oh, it's all right. I'll have to edit this out for the free stuff. So, all right. So
this is what the hogs pay for.
Let's start up top with the award that everyone came to talk about, which is the MVP. So we're gonna spoil the best part up front. So I'm going to go down the betting odds in terms of the favorites. So here are the favorites for MVP this year, according to our friends over at VegasInsider.com. They did not sponsor this podcast. Okay, so we have the favorite for MVP this year is Luka for the third straight season. favorite has not won yet. So he's the hot, sexy pick once again, I guess. So we have Luka, Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid as the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Luka, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic in that order.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
And then we have so I'm gonna say some dark horses that I like their odds, and then we'll give our picks later. So my 3 dark horses that I had were at plus 2,000 Zion Williamson, plus 2,800 Devin Booker, and plus 5,000 Anthony Edwards.
Ooh.
So those were the long shot guys that I thought had a chance at least. But
this is such a slanderous podcast to Karl Anthony Towns, man. This is so fucking vicious. I could give Anthony Edwards the MVP over Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay,
if the Wolves pull that shit off, he's scoring 33 points per game.
I think it goes the other way. That's the thing, is I think that they know that Anthony Edwards is like
he's like the future number 1.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying is like I think that they're like, if he's like, they want to see if he's the guy. And like this year, it's like we're talking numbers wise. Like, I mean, look, he'd have to score like 27 or 28 points a game to even be in this conversation. And also, the large majority of time, the guys that win MVP are usually not third-year players. Like, it rarely ever happens that you're not in your 5th, 6th, 7th year. It's usually established guys who are like somewhat well known. Like Anthony Edwards, if you're an NBA nerd, of course you know who he is, but the average NBA fan has no idea who Anthony Edwards is.
Well, let's talk this out, because I think that's something else that's a huge part of MVP voting every year, except for like one very notable year, is you have to have a at least top 3 record in your conference, I think.
So there have been 2 years now. There have been 2 years. Okay. Russ and Jokic is Jokic's first. They were the 6th seed. But the reason that Jokic won the first was because of injuries to Giannis and Embiid. And
everyone was tired of voting for Giannis.
That's really what it was. Yeah. But that rule
MVP.
would have held steady if those 2 didn't get hurt, was my point.
Right, yeah. And the Russ MVP is such a weird, year. So to go back to that, because I had the exact, that is literally my first dark horse as well as Zion Williamson, because that's the underlying thing here, is you need to believe that whatever team this is on is going to has a chance at being having a good record. So Anthony Edwards, again, the Wolves could have a great regular season record. I don't think it's like totally insane to have the Wolves like 2. So I don't think
I have them as my 2nd seed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm big, but I had the Pelicans at 3. So I can't.
Really let's laugh at the Rudy Gobert team that's a top 3 seed every year. Like
that's true.
Like that's my thing. Is like Rudy gives you a top 5 defense in the regular season. I believe in Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell in the regular season to give them a good offense.
So somebody's getting credit there. I actually took a look at Rudy. I'm going to be honest.
I heard. Okay, so someone said this. His odds are like 10,000 to 1, I believe.
That's not like. Why not? It's possible.
Too defensive.
I'm just saying it's possible. But you don't see the narrative though. Like if they turn that around, especially if Cleveland eats shit, because then he's free. It's like everyone was too mean to Rudy. Look at this. He went over here. He built a winner. Like he established culture. He did all this shit. They would probably just give him defensive player of the year and call it good. That's the problem, is that there's a different award for that, but
he'll be the DeMar DeRozan of this year, basically.
Yes.
We're like, that's what DeMar did last year, or Chris Paul did the year before, but deep down we knew they were never winning MVP.
Statistic for you.
Yeah.
Who is the lowest points per game to ever win MVP?
That's a good question.
Did Ben Wallace ever win MVP? I don't think he did.
No. It's got to be, well, I mean, are we talking pre-merger? Because it's got to be Bill Russell if it's pre-merger.
Wes Unseld.
What is Wes Unseld average?
13.8 points per game as a rookie MVP.
What year was that?
1969, so very old.
Wow.
Who else got votes that year? Was that like Jerry West? No, 69. That was Jerry West, right?
Yeah, Jerry West would have been. Well, Wilt was still in the league. I don't know how Wilt or Russell were both in the league in 69. That was before Kareem. Kareem was a rookie the next year, I think.
Very interesting.
18 rebounds though.
That's pretty. I mean,
good.
yeah,
that'll do it. That'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he so basically what Rudy can average, like, yeah. Yeah, I'm saying that I don't think in the modern, like, the way that the NBA brands itself, think about the last 5 MVPs and how good they were offensively. Like,
Oh yeah, that's why they have the DPOY.
yeah,
right.
exactly.
That's the thing, is that they'll just give him defensive player of the year and call it good. But I do think if the Wolves are like a 2 seed, he's gonna get votes. He might not place, but he will probably get votes
You
from
might get a
pervert like
nice
David
cash
Locke.
out.
Yeah,
Might
David
get a nice
Locke.
cash out, throw 10
David
bucks on it.
Locke will do the monk in the Vietnam War who like set himself on fire. He'll do that on the stairs of the league offices in New York.
He'll
If
just
Rudy
be
Gobert does that. Yeah.
He'll be covered in analytics from head to toe, just like screen assist.
Yeah.
He's the he's the sicko that coined that, by the way. You know that, right? The screen assist.
Trust me, I know. He was such a little sicko. No,
yeah,
I'm very aware of David Locke because he was such a little pervert when Gordon Hayward came to the Celtics. He was like kind of leading that charge. Anyway, I'm up on my Jazz lore. Well, let me give you. You touched on some of the dark horses. We're talking real. I'm a little offended. Jason Tatum doesn't have better odds, to be honest. I think he should be.
What does he have? Like the 6 best? I think he's tied with Ja Morant, I believe, for the 6 best odds. Or
absurd.
John
Morant will not be MVP.
So Jason Tatum has the 7th best odds at plus 1,200, I believe.
He should be 5. He should be 5 ahead. He should be 5th ahead of the 4 guys you mentioned that we all know and love. But so my dark horses that I thought about, I didn't look at the odds the way you did, so I don't know how. Steph probably doesn't really count as a dark horse, but I don't know if that always happens. So the 2 that are more interesting, Jimmy Butler, again, I don't know if that counts, but I think if Miami gets a 1 seed again, people are going to make that case and go crazy. The other real dark horse, real long shot, one I kind of think if everything goes right, I think you got to look at Trae Young. I think that was the other one that I had. I was looking at. I was like, if the Hawks end up a 3 seed,
the only thing that consider is what's the line between him being really good enough to win MVP and DeJounte Murray being just shitty enough where people don't think he's the better player.
Right. It's kind of like the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine thing last year. I know I just brought that up, but going into last season, I thought it was going to be Zach LaVine. DeMar ended up being the one that got MVP votes. Trae being on the court gives you a top 5 offense, though. So it's kind of like the opposite of the Rudy thing, but he's much more marketable and well known.
Well, and I guess the thing that I would say is Trae is much more established, for lack of a better word. That Trae nobody really knows what Zach LaVine is, but everyone knows.
Sure.
Trae is definitely their franchise player, and he's gonna get that juice. You know what I'm saying? I feel like DeJounte. God, I always struggle with his name. DeJounte Murray?
DeJounte, you got it. It's not Deontay.
Okay.
DeJounte, we got it.
DeJounte Murray, yeah. So anyway, great job by me. And he, but he'll get defensive play, he'll do the Marcus Smart thing or something like that. I feel like
sure,
because I just don't think he's taking the wheel away from Trae that much. If they're good, that's the thing. If they're good, he's letting Trae cook.
My problem with him is that his best season is doing 22, 7 and 7. He's just a triple doubles magnet.
Oh, dude! Right. Wait, are we talking about DeJounte?
Yeah.
He had
which is just really good, enough to maybe throw it off.
That's true.
But Trae also puts up 45 points in a single game.
Yeah.
So you never.
Trae averaged 30 points a game in a season once, or close to it. I think. Yeah.
We'll get to it later when we're talking about a different award, but there's another guy on that Hawks team that I think might also ruin that, but we'll get there.
Okay, so we have our dark horses, we have our favorites. Who does everyone think is going to win MVP?
I'm saying Joel Embiid.
I'm leaning Joel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think those top 3. I think it's those 3 big guys again. I think it can go anyway. I think the Sixers have the best chance to finish with the number 1 record.
I don't think they give Jokic 3 in a row.
No.
Yeah.
Especially because his team's going to be better. Last year, the reason was his team fucking sucked. And so it's like, oh, well, look at what he's doing. He took another step, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't have that this year. Jamal Murray will be back. They have a bunch better role players.
Tatum one, though. They're itching. They're itching to give Jason Tatum with the interim coach MVP.
I think Tatum could be a top 3 finisher type guy.
I think he's clearly a top 5 guy this year. I think he and Luka are the other two. It's going to be those 3 guys. And then like Tatum and Luka, depending on how the seasons go, like could absolutely get in that conversation. I don't think anyone else is really close. I think Steph is going to get cannibalized by other stuff. And I don't think everybody else is talented enough. So
I agree with that. I think that's probably going to end up being around the 5. Maybe there's one surprise guy that pops in there, like a Devin Booker or something. But the reason I'm not picking Embiid is I actually think that the Sixers are going to be very cautious with him this year. I think that the Sixers are going to be like, we have Montrezl Harrell, Paul Reed, PJ Tucker. Like we have 3 other center options. We've already tested that out a little bit. I think they're going to be trying to preserve Joel as much as possible for the playoffs. He's going on record saying he doesn't care as much about MVP this year. Maybe that's a narrative thing to try to actually win the award. I don't know. Maybe he's pulling a fast one. But I think they're going to be like protecting him this year is the only reason I don't think that I think that the narrative's on his side. I think the Sixers are maybe going to have the best record. I think everything is in his favor except for the fact that they might not play him as much.
Can I give 2 counterpoints?
Yes.
One, Steph Curry has won MVPs on this exact narrative where you just beat the shit out of everyone. And if you blow out teams and you just rest in the third quarter, that almost helps your case. So you might get the rest there. You know, if I don't, the East is so much better, the blowouts probably won't happen as much. Second thing, and I credit Russillo for this because I thought he did a really good job nailing this on the head. This is the same thing I've been saying. Everybody's missing games now. Like everybody is missing games. Like everyone misses. This is why I was making fun of Raptors fans for crying about how unlucky, how everything went wrong with their season because like 3 guys missed 15 games. Literally everyone misses 15 games now in like the new NBA. So that doesn't matter as much. You know what I'm saying? Like I think you can be pretty cautious. I think you can rest Joel on back to backs, and I don't think there's going to be a huge difference in games played, like barring a real injury for any of these guys. To be totally honest, like
true. Yeah. So. And the thing is like the thing that would hurt Embiid in his case is if they are just like overly cautious and only let him play 50 games, or James Harden is back to all NBA James Harden and Tyrese Maxey is in the all-star conversation, because then it's like, really, are you the MVP? Because you have 2 teammates that are top 30-ish guys, and like, we generally speaking don't give MVP anymore. It at some point it changed to like the guy that's the best guy on one of the best teams, but also he should probably have shitty teammates too.
Exactly.
He might have one good teammate, but like he's got to have some shitty ones too. And the Sixers are going to be good and deep, so like that would be against him as well.
Well, and that's the other thing with like Giannis, you know what I'm saying? Is Giannis probably could have won MVP like pretty much every year since his first one. Like, and it's voter fatigue, and I feel like we are kind of ripe for that to like swing back. You know, where everyone's like, yeah, he probably should have won more MVPs by now than he has, and like this could also be like a Giannis MVP. I would stagger them that way. I would say Embiid won just because I believe in the Sixers, but I also think a Giannis one is totally possible. I think a Jokic one is totally possible. And then I think
the 3-time MVP thing though, Bird being the only one post-merger to have a three straight MVPs, feels like Jokic has got to be impossibly good.
To a Serbian guy.
Really? They're gonna be like, "Fuck!"
What are we doing? The analytics guys love doing this, though. Like, I don't know. Like, this is a new axe to grind. With like that, there will be so many articles about like, really, we're just gonna do this just because like another guy hasn't done it. You know what I'm saying? I remember this with Giannis, and everyone I thought it was stupid at the time too. I was like, yeah, you should just give it to Giannis. You know what I'm saying? Like, that never looks good.
They did it with LeBron. They did it with
That's
LeBron.
what I was going to. Yeah. Much to my glee, because I hated LeBron as a Celtics fan in 2010. So, but that was clearly the wrong choice. Like he should have won MVP that first year. So, like,
100%.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. Like I think Giannis any of those three guys, honestly, coin toss. I lean Embiid, but like I would not be surprised if any of those three guys won, and I wouldn't be shocked if any of the top 5 guys won. So
I have Giannis. I have Giannis as my pick, and the reason why I have Giannis as my pick is exactly what you're saying. We haven't given him one in a few years. Best two-way player in the game. Steph wins the title last year. Giannis loses his teammate, could have won another title. And then also on top of that, I think Middleton's going to miss games to start the year. Giannis is going to have to carry them. I think that their team is deeper, or is not as deep as it was in the past. Like, not that they've ever been a super deep team, but if Middleton's missing time, they're going to be pretty thin. And I think Giannis is going to have to play more minutes because of that. I think that he's really going to have to put, and the narrative's going to be on his side as well. So, like, the two favorites should obviously be Embiid and Giannis. I think Giannis edges him out just because from a legacy perspective, he's already won MVP. He's already won the title. Like, I would be pretty surprised if those aren't the finalists. And I think that Giannis is primed to take another one. I just think that that's like, he reestablishes himself as the 1A or whatever.
And as you're saying that too, also writers, the people who vote on this stuff, like talk themselves into stuff like this. I think everybody like feels like he was like robbed of a title or something last year. Like you cannot talk about the Celtics going to the finals without hearing about how Chris Middleton was injured. So like, I feel like there's going to want to be some balancing out karmically. Like, people want to do that subconsciously or not. You know, wasn't the rest of the year right after KD left? Or am I making that up?
Yes. No, that's correct. Yeah. It was the first year without him. Yeah.
I just, when shit like that happens, you know, they kind of, they edge it that way. So you might be talking me into Giannis, to be honest. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to my guns with Embiid.
Okay. So we have Embiid, Giannis is our
thing to consider. If we're considering balancing narratives out, what have you. Where is the NBA located? Where's the headquarters of the NBA located?
I like where this is going.
America.
America, to be specific. Yes?
Not Ljubljana, Slovenia. Not Belgrade, Serbia. Not Athens, Greece. New York, USA. You know who just got his American citizenship? None other than Joel Embiid.
Let's go!
MVP. We're bringing it home. Bringing it home for the red, white, and blue.
He's got to denounce his French citizenship, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's the pivot, though. They're both red, white, and blue. He can always switch.
Can I just say I kind of hope Embiid doesn't play for America? Because it would be very interesting if the USA just didn't. USA would, like, be up against the wall. Like Jason Tatum's their best player, and they've got to go up against other like 5 other teams might have a better player on their team.
Yeah,
it's pretty. That's tough, man. That's tough. Yeah. Be interesting in the international scene if that happened. But anyway,
before we move on to the next choice here, I just want to reference. By the way, you brought up the Bill Russillo pod. Russillo during the Ben Simmons part was absolutely killing me. He was talking about JJ Redick's podcast, and he was like, it was a really good interview, you know. And he's like, you know, they got some things out of him because they have a relationship with him that other interviews, me and you, could not get out of Ben Simmons because he had that trust or whatever. But on the other hand, it was a really terrible interview because Ben was like, you know, I'm great. He's like, you know, I'm doing awesome. I don't have to change it all. And he's like, it actually made me lower.
It was a good interview in that Ben said exactly what was on his mind, but it was a bad interview in that Ben said exactly what was on his mind.
He's like, he's like, it made me lower on Ben Simmons' future. Like, you really don't think you should get better at all? Like,
well, this is what I was thinking. This is something that struck. This is not a new observation. This is pretty boring. But when I was listening to Zach Lowe interview Cade, I was thinking about how there is no reason to give a compelling interview when you're an active NBA player. All it can do is hurt you. The active NBA players are like the worst interview, which is in total opposite to former NBA players who are the best interview. They're awesome.
100%.
Yeah. So I just don't think, you know, speaking of Ben, that's why you don't be earnest. You do what Cade did on the Zach Lowe podcast and say the same recycled bullshit. Do what Jason Tatum does in every interview. I'm hungry. I want to win. I want to the same bullshit you've heard every time. So anyway, but
I totally agree. It's a no-win situation.
Lie to sports reporters, young athletes. Do not listen. Do not let them enchant you with their wily Zach Lowe Seinfeld impression.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham, if you're watching, we don't hate you. First off,
great job giving Zach boring answers.
Awesome.
You keep cooking with that 6 points per game in this preseason, brother. You got it.
Historically bad efficiency, but future MVP candidate. Anyway,
he's gonna be great backing up Jaden Ivey. He's gonna be the 6th man of the year. I spoiled my own joke.
No,
that's the 6th man of the year. I was gonna say
I'm telling you, me and Sam are banned from the city of Detroit. We're not even allowed to go to Windsor, Canada.
I had Detroit. I said I think they're gonna be in the play-in. Despite which I'm kind of regretting now looking at.
Yeah, I know.
But,
yeah.
Anyway.
Despite killing their baby boy, Mr. Cunningham. So
I think Killian Hayes is back.
Yeah, it's back, baby. Draft Twitter's gonna be vindicated.
Kevin O'Connor, innocent. Did Draft Twitter even like Killian Hayes?
They loved him. Really? Him. No, I knew people who had him number 2 on their board behind LaMelo. Like KOC smart draft
people. Had him 1. No, KOC had him 1. That's just
I know. Yeah, that was a bit much. Even the Draft Twitter sickos who love Killian were like LaMelo's definitely better.
I also really liked Killian that year.
Here's the thing. I have the football version of Killian Hayes. Same titanium hip, same draft promise. I was delighted with what I was seeing until I saw him almost die on the field.
So he was in year 3, right? Year 3, 2020 draft. Mm-hmm. Redemption for Killian Hayes until he gets CTE twice in a week.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Come back. Or is that Jordan Poole?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Too soon. Yeah. By the way,
I'm sorry. I forgot the leaker is still at large. The most serious thing about that.
Yeah, we will compromise that video assistant to a permanent end so that we can live in peace again here.
God, that's it's so scary. How do anyone go to that Warriors practice facility knowing the leaker could be walking around? It's terrifying.
Prayers up for the biggest victims in this: Joe Lacob, Draymond Green. Who wrote that article, Sam? About
I can't. Was it Marcus? No,
it was someone from The Athletic.
It wasn't Tim. It wasn't Tim, right? It was.
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I think it was Marcus.
Yeah.
But anyway, tough.
What did the article say? You have to tell people what the article said.
Said that it was the reason that this wasn't a bigger deal was because of Steph Curry, his grace, his poise, his dignity. It was awesome, man. I mean, that's cool. More sports writers should write like that. I'm sorry, you should that fucking rocks. Like, yes, you should be willing to die for Steph Curry if you cover him. I'm sorry.
He's the only reason that you have a job, and he's the only reason that the Warriors front office has a job, and Draymond Green, everyone. Klay Thompson.
What?
After the fight, Steph Curry, in a private moment between Draymond and Jordan Poole, individually offered invitations to be guest hosts on Holy Moly next year. And that's how they got over it. Now they're going to be great again. They're going to do like a little TikTok competition against each other. You have to get it in the clown's eye socket in the mouth.
You're going to tackle the windmill hole.
It took me a minute to realize what that was, and then I remembered.
The reason they got in the fight was the money. Poole was talking about the contract. So the way they're doing this is they're going to split their Holy Moly money.
They're going to incentivize
it. Give it to Draymond to make up for the difference.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
So, Steph, thank you to Steph for fixing that problem.
Nowadays, all you hear about is like how people make their money. It's like sportsbooks number 1, number 2, holy moly.
What you're saying?
We gotta stop pocket watching.
We're entering a wipeout-based economy,
Yeah, no pocket watching.
What that face?
Every day you just clock in to go like jump on a big bouncy ball.
Let's go.
All right. So go. 38 minutes in, we've gotten through one of our categories.
Whatever. We knew this was going to happen. Let's be honest.